This is, again, a very dangerous situation. We want to make sure that everybody is safe. And we have so many people in town that aren't normally here in town. We have a lot going on with the direct relays, concerts, things like that. It's a weekend. People come to Des Moines so much to see great stuff, but this isn't what you probably signed up for tonight.
Power flashes are being reported around the Pleasant Hill area as well. That is an indication of some very strong winds, unfortunately, probably taking down some power lines. Again, that is tracking off to the east, Mitchellville. You'll continue to be under the target of this very strong storm that is capable of producing a tornado. And again, right now, the strongest part of the storm is located around Highway 163, Highway 65. And it looks like it's starting to move out of the Pleasant Hill area, thankfully.
Yeah, and we are here keeping you updated. We have 4 of our meteorologists right here tonight. We also have meteorologist Megan Selwa, again, showing off again what has been going on with her social media. You can follow all of us, and when we're busy like this, it's hard for us sometimes inside of this situation to keep you updated on social media. So follow all of our meteorologists, Jerry Ann Ritter, Megan Selwa, Jason Parkin, and of course Gabe Pro. We will be here to make sure that you stay updated, even when we can't on the air. Our other meteorologists are covering our backs. So this is a live view, of course, from the Adventureland area. This is where it looks like there may be some, hard to see. This is such heavy rain, high wind as well. But certainly it's a good sign that we're still at least seeing a signal from the top of the storm chaser, so aptly named for this particular camera, that we're able to still show you that. But there may be power outages in that same area. In fact, we may have just lost it right there. Not sure. Looks a little bit like it, but it was hard to see exactly how much was going on with that signal, with that picture. Here we are now across Highway 65, Mitchellville. You guys need to be seeking shelter. I-80 from Altoona all the way over to Colfax, Prairie City. Please make sure that you are calling those that may not know about this. So many of us have our apps, the free 13 Warn Me app. It is a much better situation where it's been proven to save lives, but that's why we're on the air as well. We want to make sure that you stay updated. This is WHO 13 from Des Moines, Iowa. Meteorologist Ed Wilson here to keep you all the way through the rest of this evening, even as we are simulcasting with Fox 17, and I believe WHO Radio was taking our signal as well. Jerry.
All right. I just wanted to go through the tornado warning on Max 2 here because I'm seeing some reports on social media. Are we not in the tornado warning any longer? I want to explain who is still in that tornado warning. Again, we keep talking about the tornado, extremely dangerous around the Pleasant Hill area, and that's where we're hearing reports of power outages. Again, Altoona, you're still in the tornado warning, as well as Mitchellville, the Colfax community, Prairie City. Now, the city of Des Moines itself is no longer in the tornado warning. Areas to the west, no longer in the tornado warning. You're clear. Now, take you to the south here. This is the other tornado warning in effect that we talked you through just south of New Virginia, right around the Indianola area. Again, parts of Highway 65. And these communities still remain under a tornado warning. Those are areas we want you in shelter. Also, right around Murray, that's where we're continuing to see that tornado warning, and that's along Highway 34. So those are the 3 tornado warnings in effect. Again, the strongest part of the storm is south and east of Des Moines at this point, tracking off to the east, northeast. Newton is in the target to experience these storms here within the next half hour to hour. We have been anticipating the last hour. Hopefully they would weaken. We are seeing some weakening overall, but unfortunately they're still capable of producing a tornado.
Just got word from my friend Mark Saylor talking about Union County. Highway 34 is closed now between Afton and Creston, and there is an ambulance command center at the Walmart parking lot, which is a phrase you never want to hear. But Highway 34 is closed now between Afton and Creston for folks down there.
Well, we kept repeating Afton and Creston over and over with this tornado line that's down on the southern portion of the state. We're kind of focused right now on this area just right outside of the Des Moines metro, or Des Moines downtown, but from Altoona to Mitchellville you guys need to be seeking shelter as well. That is a very tight area between the red and the green. That's what we look for inflow and outflow around the radar. When the radar does a really great job, and look how fast that new run just came through here, moving it farther toward Mitchellville. So
There's still good circulation there.
please seek shelter right now. Anyone from Altoona along I-80, lots of hotels there, Prairie Meadows, Adventureland, and then right back up to Mitchellville. Please seek shelter. We're pleading with you to make sure that you stay safe. This is not the time to be driving either. As we showed you with Elias's view, that getting back into safety is what we want them to do. Even our storm chasers like Roger Riley want to make sure that they're staying safe. Yeah, that does look like maybe another debris ball there that shows off some debris that's being pulled in by a tornado by this tornado that may have hit a building. We're not sure. We can't obviously tell until we have storm spotters out there, law enforcement telling us what they're watching, and even first responders trying to keep them safe to get in and out of here. But Northeast 80th Street and the corner of Northeast 46th Street as we just move southeast of the Des Moines downtown. So this would be south of Altoona, right along Highway 163, which heads off down toward Pella. But Pella, you're not within this warning. It just kind of showing off, making sure the people here in the metro know. And boy, that is still a decent signature around that Northeast 46th Avenue. Moving right up to the I-80 corridor, right toward Mitchellville. Make sure that you are seeking shelter right now. People driving in that area, hopefully have the alarms set on their phones with the 13 Warn Me app or whatever weather app. We love that you use ours, but we just want you to be safe. But that is a significant signature that doesn't do my heart great good.
No, it doesn't.
It does look like it's something that has been hit, is throwing up that debris ball.
I really thought when these storms got to our area and they hit this colder air from the rain earlier today that they wouldn't survive, but boy, this thing really is cranking through the east side of the metro, unfortunately.
Gives you some idea of just how strong of a storm system this is. For this late at night, for them to still be holding together, we have all the ingredients, unfortunately, for these to continue to advance off to the east, northeast. But the most concerning cell right now, obviously pretty glaring around I-80 near Altoona, Mitchellville. Again, I just want to remind folks in Colfax and Mingo that you are also in this tornado warning.
Well, and I'm talking to some friends who actually have a home. Their kids live in Pleasant Hill. They're seeking shelter. They've been watching our coverage. They're thanking us, but well, they're my friends. Hopefully they're watching, But we want to make sure that you know why we've been on the air tonight. These are not atypical tornado outbreaks that we're talking about.
There is one new severe thunderstorm
Nebraska,
warning for Iowa.
Lincoln, all the way along I-80 and then stretching now over the last 6 hours right into Des Moines. So this is a spectacular line that does have that power to recreate these tornadoes even as we go through the next hour or two. We may still be on the air with you here, and we are with WHO 13. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that is popping up as well. These storms, even though they're, again, tornado warnings, they're still going to leave in the wake maybe those severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's why we're still under a tornado watch for central Iowa, and now it's been expanded out to the east of us. But there's that tornado warning just to the south. Severe thunderstorm warning now for Fort Dodge. We're getting into the Highway 20 corridor. Folks, if you felt left out, I'm sure you didn't. But that's another very strong line, gusty wind extending out of this bow echo, moving right through Fort Dodge, Hamilton County, Humboldt County and Calhoun County, Webster County. Now, underneath that tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning, it is not a tornado warning. It is a severe thunderstorm warning, and it is moving straight to the east along Highway 20. So everybody there needs to be seeking shelter, staying inside. Again, these are not quite as violent as what we've seen with these tornadoes, but don't take it seriously because you just can't sleep on these. They can do a lot of damage. Here from Indianola down along Highway 65, that's where we're finding that same cell that's maybe breaking up a little bit, but that is a tornado warning as well from that spot just across Highway 65 and back up toward Indianola, Sandyville. You folks need to be just south of Pleasantville looking for this storm to continue to move to the north and the east. These systems are not weak. They are holding together.
This one, well, there's still rotation there. It almost looks more like convergence down here now. But yeah, I mean, definitely you want to still stay in shelter down here in this southern warning. I'll put a little info on here for you for those of you who maybe haven't heard it yet. But Lucas, Marion, Warren, that's in effect for 19 more minutes here, 9:30, that warning to the south.
Do you see what's happening to the west? We need to take Max 2 here just a second because we are seeing some more thunderstorms redevelop around the Creston community. There's just one band in between Fort Dodge and right around Creston. Now, the one around Creston is below severe weather criteria. But again, we just pointed out that severe thunderstorm warning close to the Fort Dodge community. Again, the tornado warnings are just to the east of Des Moines. But we are actually seeing some back building of some more rainfall and some more thunderstorms on these areas that have already been hit extremely hard tonight.
We did hear about some damage in Creston. Again, no injuries reported out of that particular area, but I do believe that Elias Johnson in his storm chaser is going down there to check on that tonight, late, to see how those folks are doing. But yeah, when you have this kind of damage and you have now heavy rain and lightning, it can be very dangerous as well. Into our double box, we have the radar showing off that storm line as we get throughout central Iowa, but also I believe that that's Elias. I'm not sure if that's his storm car that we're watching. Yeah, so Elias is still moving along and looks much better than what it was earlier when you were around coming, Elias. How's it looking now and where are you?
Yeah, Ed, we are just heading north on 65. We're going to hit east on I-80. Power's still on here in Altoona, which is good news. We did come across some debris along the road headed north of University and Vandalia Road. So not a ton of debris, but there was definitely some chunks of things that normally don't sit in the road. But right now, as we're coming up around the Adventureland area, we can see the Bass Pro Shop. Everything looks good so far. We haven't seen any emergency vehicles with their lights on. We did see a couple of county sheriff's deputies pulled off, staging, and now the rain has stopped. Which this has been the norm tonight. You're either getting pounded with rain, hail, and wind, or there's nothing. And we're going to come up right now onto I-80 East, and you can see off in the distance, you're going to start seeing more lightning as we come up. And that is the cell that just went over Pleasant Hill.
There is one new tornado warning for Iowa.
But we're not seeing anything that is indicating that something massive came through here or damaging, at least from what we can see. I don't want to diminish anything that may have happened to some folks if they were hit with some winds and possibly a touchdown. But right now the good news is there's not a lot of people out here, and other than just a few pieces of little debris.
There is one new severe thunderstorm warning for Louisiana.
It looks okay right now.
Well, and it's good to see the power is on as we're driving, Elias. We can see the lights along the interstate there are still on, and that's a very good indicator as well. When we get these major storms that give a power surge and can wipe out transformers, people may be without power for a while. We heard about 6,000 people in the Council Bluffs area were without power earlier. So now here are our new warnings, or the warnings that are still in effect from Mitchellville.
That's a new one down here.
That's the newest one from Jasper to Marion and Warren counties until 10 o'clock tonight. And this one is, again, moving farther to the northeast, but we're moving it right across Lake Red Rock, north of Knoxville, west of Pella, staying away from you guys, but make sure that you stay with this storm, okay? Stay weather aware. I know it's kind of a term that we use a lot of, but we don't want to have you take it for granted, because these storms can redevelop. And this is a perfect scenario tonight that will teach all of us that, you know what, these can redevelop and become strong to severe thunderstorms and then tornadoes as well. The outline here from Altoona back over to Highway 163 toward Prairie City, that is still highlighted as an observed tornado. It's in that pink outline. The all strong red boxes there, those are tornado warnings, primarily radar indicated. But let me tell you that at night it's so hard to see these tornadoes, rain wrapped as well. Just very dangerous to be out storm spotting with this kind of situation. But again, our law enforcement, first responders are out there helping. And that's an amazing signature there, guys.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Milo, yeah.
Sort of debating whether there's debris signature there or not still. There very well may be. Gabe and I were just talking, and we'll have to talk with the Weather Service after this because the velocity and the debris have been kind of offset from each other, and sometimes they'll change the way they scan storms during severe weather, and one scan may come in at a different time than another. But if I put this into motion here, I mean, it certainly looks like that could be debris coming up from the southwest.
And moving right across I-80. So
Right.
for people traveling there from the truck stop, just on the Bondurant exit from that area, make sure that, again, when you run into a situation like this, you pull over. Don't go drive underneath the bridge and park there. It's one of the worst places where it actually increases the velocity of the wind and can do more damage to your vehicle. And again, just be very careful when you have these scenarios. But now it looks like this is not so much an observed tornado warning. If I'm looking at it right, I think my eyes are still holding on here, but it does look like a tornado warning now from Mitchellville all the way over to Colfax.
Yeah, I think you're
still
right.
a spin there. It's radar indicated for sure, but it does look a little bit better.
Yeah, and obviously they're right in keeping this warning going. And again, still trying to, definitely could still be some debris there with that storm.
And I'm looking at one of our other computers that's actually running the long-range view of the radar. There is another line from Stewart that Jerry Ann pointed out earlier through Greenfield all the way down to southwestern Iowa that is just redeveloping, not severe weather, but a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning within that system. So we're looking close up here from our tornado warnings, of course. That's where we want to focus this evening and have been throughout the night. But these two tornado warnings in effect for Jasper and Polk County, and then back down toward Monroe. That's where we are focusing tonight. We have, I believe, 3 tornado warnings still in effect. These go until 9:30. So again, if you're watching WHO 13, we've been on the air since just after 6 o'clock this evening. We're here to keep you safe. Want to make sure that you're aware of where these tornadoes are. They have been on the ground. They've been flying through here from western Iowa, Nebraska, all the way now up to our doorsteps. Now east of the Des Moines area. That one in effect until 9:30. But on a wider view, there we are from Pleasantville back down into that Highway 65 area just south of Indianola. Melcher, Dallas. This is that tornado warning for Jasper, Marion, and Warren counties, all highlighted here. That goes until 10 o'clock tonight. That's the newest tornado warning that we have. And I believe this tornado warning is still until 9:30, I believe, for that area.
Check that out. Yeah, 9:30, so another 11 minutes. There's not much in the way of rotation there, but as we've seen tonight, that's meaningless because that rotation could redevelop pretty quickly, so definitely stay in your safe space down there in that southwestern warning for Lucas and Marion and Warren counties.
I did notice earlier too that when we go wide out and show the tornado watch, the tornado warnings, there's even an aerial flood warning or advisory just out near that Carroll area, just east of Carroll. And on the wider view, you can see that big long line that's redeveloping off of the severe thunderstorm warning for Fort Dodge. We're not forgetting about you folks up there. Make sure that you are staying safe tonight. Stay away from windows. Kind of treat it, severe thunderstorm warnings can, again, generate tornadoes at any time. But this is this line that is from Stewart all the way back down through Creston, Clearfield, moving behind this system. So redevelopment of this storm line is now occurring, and this is something that we're going to be concerned about the next couple of days. We have a lot more rain to deal with here as we go through Saturday evening. There's another good chance for some severe weather. We're in the 3 out of the 5 zone as far as risk levels here south of I-80 and down into southwestern Iowa, areas that were hit hard. And then even into Sunday, there's even a very slight risk for severe thunderstorms, maybe even tornadoes, but a lot of extra rain. So we're going to be talking about, as I said earlier, so hard to believe that we've dealt with 3 to 4 years of drought, and we're talking about flooding now in such a short period of time. This little sliver right here is still that tornado warning that is just moving along I-80. Not as dramatic as far as kind of like going north and south, kind of maybe splitting up that rotation.
Man, I sure hope that's dying out.
Yeah, we do, and we hope it continues to do that. But take a look, it's right back down to south again, if you can, Jason.
Sure.
Just scoot down just to the west of Pleasantville. Look at that area that still has some dynamics, that either is maybe some hail, gusty wind. There's
plenty of rotation.
Yeah, a lot of rotation in that one, moving right toward Pleasantville. You folks need to be seeking shelter right now, right along that Highway 5 corridor back up to Highway 92, and then just to the west of Pleasantville. Make sure that you are checking the folks that live there and yourself to make sure you're in the lowest area of your building that you're in, away from windows. Can't stress enough, we repeat this mantra over and over, but it saves lives. As we mentioned earlier, just one person that had an injury out of one of the previous tornadoes, but was a head injury. So make sure you're covering your head, covering your feet if you have to get out. God forbid that your area was hit hard. Don't want to step on anything.
It's amazing to me that all we've seen tonight and all the tornadoes and all the warnings and I hope this holds true, and I'm sorry that person got injured, but if that's all we see out of tonight, that's fantastic news.
Well, it's a blessing, and you think about what has happened in Omaha and Nebraska. Gabe just said, thank gosh we're not dealing with what they did in Nebraska today. That was just an amazing view. It looks like a pan shovel went across some of those areas out to the west of us in Nebraska. So we think about those folks too.
I want to go back through who's in the tornado warning.
There is one
and
new
who
severe
is
thunderstorm
not in the
warning for
tornado
Arkansas
warning
and
right now.
Texas.
So if we could go to Max 2 just so we could show you. Again, the areas in red are the reason we're on air right now, because of the tornado warning. And I know some of you may be seeing on your social media the images coming out of Omaha, as well as Lincoln, or maybe even western Iowa. But that was earlier in the day, during the peak heating of the day. Lots of these tornadoes moving through right now, we hope are continuing to weaken, but still producing rotation and damage, but they're not quite as strong as what we did see earlier in the day. Okay, so these areas in that tornado warning, again, Mingo, Mitchellville, right around the Colfax area, and that would be the area along I-80. But I want to remind you, the city of Des Moines just under that tornado watch, and areas to the west of these communities are in the clear right now. Monroe area still remains under that tornado warning, as well as Pleasantville, and the Milo community is still under that tornado warning as well. And we do have some thunderstorms redeveloping just to the west of this area, but at this point they are below severe weather criteria. It looks like you're seeing some pretty strong radar returns once again.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this area down by Pleasantville. There may be rotation there. It almost looks more like convergence, like wind coming together and rising up into that storm. But that warning still remains in effect there, and so folks should obviously take it seriously given what's happened tonight. Let me show you what we're dealing with down there. So this is until 10 p.m., so we still got a ways to go for this morning for Jasper and Marion and Warren. And again, there's certainly perhaps some broad rotation aloft in that storm. So we need to keep an eye on it, because as we've seen tonight with the storm we had go over the metro, we had that storm die out and then redevelop very quickly again. And this storm that's over Pleasantville is kind of out on its own. There's nothing interfering with air flowing into it here, so it has that advantage, whereas these storms behind it, they don't have that. They're all kind of merging together into a line, and the inflow going into the storms is being interfered with by other storms. So we definitely need to watch this. Now, we still have this warning in effect for parts of the metro area. I want to take a look at the velocity again. I didn't see anything there last time, and there really isn't much there. I just am not seeing much there right now. Still, you want to stay alert and stay in your safe space there. I would think if there is something there, it would be right in this area right in here. But it certainly seems to have weakened. And of course, it's cut off from any inflow by what's happening to the south there in Prairie City. So hopefully that storm continues to weaken.
Right, and we're just kind of on a time limit as well as they go through, I believe, 9:30 on that particular storm. Pleasantville, a little bit more active here, but we want to make sure that you stay safe. Gabe was just pointing out there have been no major incidences here, at least in the Des Moines Metro, with any damage or injuries, not yet, but that's good news. And there's still some inflow, outflow, but it's kind of it's starting to lengthen out a little bit, shaving each other off just a little bit, not the same turn that we had around Pleasantville, but it's still a dynamic system that is probably dropping a ton of hail here. High dynamics there as well for gusty wind, moving right across the Lake Red Rock. I know a lot of people down there enjoy, of course, a weekend on boats, on getting outside, but this is probably not the weekend. You saw our forecast. It looked pretty bumpy anyway as we went through the entire week. Well, now it's become a road bump for a lot of folks. This is going to be a long situation of rebuilding in some areas of western Iowa and certainly back in Nebraska. We're so thankful that no major injuries have been reported. I just am amazed at watching that same system again poke down into the southwestern portion of the state. This tornado watch
So they've
has to go past 9, right?
Yeah, they've shaved off. Let's see. They've dropped
Basically, this
Adair,
area.
Audubon, Boone, Calhoun, Carroll, Cass, Crawford, Dallas, Green, Guthrie, Sac, and Story, and they've extended. They've added. Let's see here. Davis has been added. Mahaska, Marshall, Poweshiek, Tama, and Wapello have been
Until
added.
what's the time on it?
Let me see here. I believe it's
Midnight.
midnight. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
midnight.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah.
I am seeing reports from the police in Des Moines just saying, hey, they've got multiple poles down. And so they just really don't want people driving around. And that would be on East University Avenue, nearest east-west option, it says. That's 3300 block of Valdelia Road. So I would put that kind of out by the fairgrounds.
a little bit east
so
of the fairground,
just
yeah.
be mindful, now is not the time to be driving around. I also heard from some folks earlier saying, hey, we experienced some power outages. We're scared. We want to know what's going on. Go to your cell phone. Again, we're live streaming this as well. Tell some family members they can just put us on, as well as I did hear from a friend who's out on the roads right now saying, hey, what should I do? You know, the best thing is obviously find a gas station, pull over, and get a grip on where you are compared to where these storms are located as well. We do want to continue to stress the highest threat for tornadoes is moving off to the east, southeast. I mean, east, southeast of the metro area. If we can show Max 2 so I can explain to you what's going on here. The city of Des Moines itself remains under that tornado watch, but many areas now to the north and west are no longer in that tornado watch. Obviously, our biggest concern right now and our reason for being on air is because all of these radar returns we're seeing continue to show rotation, and unfortunately even indicating that some of these could be on the ground. And since it is so dark at this point, it would be difficult to see. So these are the communities remaining in that tornado warning: Mingo, Mitchellville, Prairie City, and again, that would be along I-80 in between Mitchellville and the Colfax area. Also right around Monroe and stretching down to near Pleasantville. You're still under the tornado warning, and areas near Indianola as well as Milo remain under that tornado warning as well. The city of Des Moines does remain under tornado watch, as I mentioned, as we do have a few more thunderstorms still popping up to the west, but the strongest storms right now are east of Altoona, and even that just changed here with the latest tornado warning. You can see we have one tornado warning in effect at this point, so I'm going to go through that before I get back to Ed Wilson here. And that tornado warning is in effect until 10 p.m. This is our only tornado warning in effect, and that's Jasper and Marion County. And that would be Pleasantville to right around the Monroe area. So I can see Jason Parkin over there checking it out. But I also don't like what I'm seeing to the west, as it does look like those storms are starting to bow out just to the west, which could equal some stronger winds. But Jason and Ed Wilson, you want to break down this latest tornado warning?
Absolutely, and I'm just looking on social media. Willard Sharp is a great guy that we've talked to before. He's been a storm chaser for a long time. You can follow him on X, or used to be Instagram. He's put out some pretty great pictures of of what it was look like around the Creston area. We are going to get a lot more pictures as well from you. We appreciate your photo links that you send us. So this is that area around Swan, back down to Pleasant Hill, southeast of Des Moines. You can see south of the I-80 corridor, which now does not have that warning on it. That's good news. But over toward Monroe, this is all, again, that line of severe thunderstorms, but more importantly, that tornado warning. Jason was just kind of zoomed in there on that, the inflow and outflow. We don't see a great signature out of this one, but
no,
it's still popping. You can see some of these brighter colors, those purples, magenta, whatever you want to call it. That is indicating there's probably some hail aloft. We're going to look at those systems kind of as a study guide, I think, for severe weather outbreaks. But this does show that, as Jason is just showing, it's when the rotation isn't there any longer, when it's kind of lengthened out, that's a good sign. We want to see more of that.
Yeah, it really, again, like I said before, it looks more like convergence, like air coming together and rising up into that storm than it does rotation. But again, as we've seen tonight, that doesn't mean that can't happen. And so folks in that warned area need to just, still stay safe and stay in that safe spot from this storm.
It still has a pretty unique signature to it. I mean,
it does.
It's got that kind of curve here back on the back side of the system that, again, indicates there could be some still a rotation, but when we put the velocity scope in there showing which way the wind is moving in and out away from each other, away from the radar, I should say, it doesn't really show a great signature. It's still going to be a whole lot of rain, probably some hail that's going to be affecting folks here from Monroe, Reasoner, Galesburg, as we go through at least the next hour or so, a little more than an hour maybe. But that's all moving to the north and to the east, and we'll see if they still keep a warning on this. As Jerry Ann said, these storms that are building in behind this system that we have right over central Iowa are going right over areas that had the tornado warnings earlier today. So folks in Creston, back up along the Atlantic area, back into Stewart, just west of us here on I-80, this is going to be a whole lot of extra rainfall that's coming in behind this system. And there, as we mentioned, there is reports of the Creston area getting some damage, maybe to the hospital, but also, I believe, a retirement home there. But that tornado warning up in the Montgomery Page area has been canceled. But
This is a tornado warning.
if you have this next system move in, it's going to be heavy rain and a lot of lightning. You want to make sure that you keep safe. And we did have a lot of power outages, as we mentioned, power poles down on the east side of Des Moines. Maybe some areas still dealing with a lot of outages that we just haven't heard about. But this is another big line of rain, and this is going to be just the start of a busy next couple of days. Tomorrow, it's going to dry out during the daytime hours, the early morning into probably the early afternoon, but then tomorrow evening, we have another area right here from I-80 in southwestern Iowa to right up to Des Moines that has the 3 out of 5 risk area or risk level for severe weather. So you need to stay weather aware, even though we're getting past this one, and then a lot of rain on Sunday. We're going to be talking about very soggy situations for sure, which all in all may not be such a bad thing. We do love to see that extra rainfall that we need. Tonight, this is the risk area that we're watched for enhanced areas of risk for severe weather, whether it be severe thunderstorm warnings, possibly tornadoes, gusty wind, damaging wind, and some hail. Tomorrow, that will shift from Des Moines back down to Atlantic, to Creston, Lamoni, Sheraton. Now, that was what was put out earlier today, and it looks exactly the same as it was. It could change as we get closer to tomorrow, but that's going to be the evening hours tomorrow night into the overnight Sunday. And then on Sunday, we do have just that slight risk for severe weather. Creston, Sheraton, Oskaloosa, Ottumwa, Lamoni. But what is not really showing is some heavy rain. We're going to check out rainfall totals tonight, and in some isolated areas, of course, a lot more than others, but we will see some heavy rain by Sunday, Saturday night into Sunday. So that'll be something to consider if you are traveling or trying to be outside, but marginal risk over the rest of the state. Boy, I tell you what, that enhanced area really lived up to the prediction as well today.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah. Right now, we just want to clarify at 9:36, we just have that one tornado warning in effect. No big update. Overall, Jason, from what I'm seeing, it looks like it's starting to weaken.
Yeah, everything is, and I'm not terribly worried about what's happening out to the west. And I don't know. There's obviously a boundary out there that this is all forming on. I'm betting that it's elevated, and so, as you said, Jerry Ann, maybe a gusty wind threat. Obviously, you're going to see heavy rain here, and boy, you hate to see that, as Ed mentioned, for the folks that are starting to clean up and sort things out down around Creston, Afton, and other areas out there. I just don't feel like there's going to be much of a severe threat there tonight. Obviously, we'll be here to keep an eye on it. However, we still have the one warning left. And this is a tornado warning in effect for 24 more minutes for Jasper and Marion. This storm is kind of not well built right now. It has kind of a funny structure to it. If there is rotation, it's down here to the southwest of Monroe, kind of right in that area. And it's moving northeast at around 40 miles per hour. Let me put a storm track on that for you here. But again, it's not looking as good as it did earlier when it was to the west of I-35. And so things have been moving northeast at around 40 miles per hour tonight. So Monroe around 9:49, this would be coming through your area. I know you're already seeing rainfall there. And Reasoner around 9:58 before the end of this morning. There may be a little bit of small hail down here to the north of Pleasantville, down in this area. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit closer down here. But other than that, there's not much in the way indicating anything, a strong rotation in this storm right now.
Yeah, and it does not have that same signature. It doesn't have that same velocity signature for sure. Still looking at some of those bright areas of the little dots that were there that kind of have that purple and magenta look or color to them. That could be some hail, certainly still falling there. Gusty wind out ahead of that for Monroe. You guys are going to be seeing some wind gusts up near the Newton area as well, maybe up to 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts all the way through Highway 6. So Highway 163 down toward Pella. Pella, you guys have been missing this, and I know with tulip time coming up, you're not sad about that for sure. But this storm system still has that opportunity to build out behind this, and we could see some very gusty wind and some heavy rain, not only today, but again tomorrow and into tomorrow night and into Sunday. Does Fort Dodge still have that severe thunderstorm warning on top of it? Oh, it's gone.
Nope,
Good.
just one.
Awesome.
And Ed, I can walk through the next couple of hours here on Storm Path on Max 2 if you want to gather some new information. Just in case you're joining us right now and you're hearing us talk about the potential for more storms tomorrow, we do want to let you know that we do think after midnight tonight, things will finally start to die down. We'll start off with some sunshine early on Saturday. But again, warm, humid. We have actually another low pressure system, extremely strong, moving into the state. And we still have the dynamics for more heavy rainfall and some strong to severe thunderstorms. So you can see here, based on storm path, those strong thunderstorms around 4, 5 o'clock in southern Iowa, moving through the metro again around 6, 7 o'clock, and then moving through the state off and on throughout the day on Sunday. So we do want to give you a heads up that there is another chance for more thunderstorms on Saturday. But we do just have one tornado warning still in effect right now, still a tornado watch for the city of Des Moines. But this is the one tornado warning still in effect. And that includes areas around Pleasantville as well as the Monroe area, and that will stay in effect until 10 p.m. Let's just kind of recap for folks in case you are just joining us right now. The strongest storms have passed the city of Des Moines, but we started off earlier tonight with tornadoes breaking out around Harlan and Minden and let's see, Carroll. We had tornado warnings. Unfortunately, we heard reports of lots of damage around the Creston community as well. And at this point, it does look like these storms are starting to weaken.
And that is good news. In fact, that tornado warning is now just in effect until,
10 o'clock.
Yeah, till 10 o'clock.
20
So
minutes.
we'll keep going there all the way through. Again, we do have a lot of folks that are out and about. We are going to see, again, some of the video coming in from our teams that have been out tonight, but also from you, from our folks that send us our photo links. We appreciate that at WHO13.com on the weather page. But it is going to be a long time before we see probably another outbreak like this. I pray and I hope, but we do want to check out everything that we know as far as damage or injuries, and we're getting, again, some word that there may be more within this line of this tornado warning that we still have up right around the Monroe area. So we do have crews that are out. A lot of power outages, a lot of poles down just around the Vandalia Road, back out to 3300 block near the Adventureland area. Also back a little closer to downtown Des Moines for the State Fairgrounds. Hail size 1.25 inches. This coming to us with this tornado warning that is still in effect until 10 o'clock for Jasper, Marion counties. You folks in Monroe kind of getting, looks like some hail, big time coming down there in these little spots where we have these purples. Jason helping me with the pointer, I appreciate it. But Monroe, you're kind of cut out right now in this little spot. Please stay within your house and within your safe space. These are storm signatures from the hail. So that's what we're expecting. Look at that heavy hail right there, and these darker or lighter areas in the gray. It's called hail tracks. The radar can actually hold that information and then compute it back to us, so we see when and how much hail was falling out of that. But the size right around there, looking at about 1.33 inches in diameter. So that's what we're seeing there, and that's why we still have that tornado warning going on from Reasoner all the way along that leading edge from Monroe, and then again just north of Lake Red Rock. That's where we're not seeing, again, the severe thunderstorms. Thankfully for Lake Red Rock, there's more rain coming your way, though, behind this system. We still have that tornado watch in effect until midnight, and that will be a factor for these storms that have been maybe not your typical storms, still pulling in tornado warnings here after they've gone through and then have done so much damage, but also usually they'll fall apart, but we have rebuilding within probably what is an outflow from bigger storms that have happened either ahead of this system or this line or behind it. But very interesting to watch this happen tonight, not in the best way. So Des Moines, West Des Moines, you guys are going to get hit with some more rainfall, heavy rain at times, and all the way down through Creston, Madison County, Winterset, into Mount Ayr. Right now it's also seeing some heavy rain, all as this system continues to just kind of roll itself slowly out to the east. Earlier this week, we talked about the forecasting on into Sunday, and Sunday kept looking to be like it's going to slow down. These systems, we still have a lot of rain, a lot of storms to go through, but then that's going to slow down. We'll worry about that on Sunday, but it does look like we're going to see a lot of rainfall. And of course, we have news crews just waiting to go out tomorrow and to take care of some big time news coverage of areas that have been hit so far.
Let's take a look at this because the structure on this is looking better now, unfortunately, near Monroe. A big hook here on the latest radar scan. And I just want to check out velocity here. And really, unfortunately, this is tightening up a bit within this warning. It makes me wonder if they'll extend it here since we're getting close to the end time. But there definitely is rotation in that storm now. And you can see this big hail here. This hail core is, to put it simply, where it's supposed to be now. If this was built like a real supercell, just to the north and northwest of this hook.
That's where that hail is pulled around, and then the storm can't support it any longer. It gets pulled up to a higher level, and then it just falls down. Hail core, it's a hail dump coming out of these storms. But yeah, that's a significant signature of that hook right around Monroe, like it's a hand just holding Monroe there, right across that Highway 14 and Highway 163. Here's our slicing where we can go in and see just how high the storm system is promoting or holding onto that hail up to just less than 20,000 feet. And I believe that because our radar is pretty close to this area. I think that is probably the height of this, but the very top of that storm is just under 30,000 feet, showing off the dynamics of these monster supercells and what we've gone through tonight, what we've watched tonight. All of you with us that are still with us, we thank you so much. Make sure that you're safe, obviously, but we appreciate you sending in your information, your pictures, and we're going to get to those later once we're not doing all wall-to-wall severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. Also looking just behind this as I get out of the way from the Swan area back across that south side of Des Moines, southeast side of Des Moines to Pleasantville, a lot more rain on the way.
We was just checking the path of this storm too.
Wow, that is a dynamic signature right
Yeah,
now
it
off
really
of
is.
that hail in Monroe.
And you can see a hail spike coming off
Yeah.
it now too.
Where it goes up to a level where we don't even have a color for that particular level, you know that that is a ton of hail coming down right behind that, where it's almost wide open. So
I
Monroe,
think this is behind a scan here.
it is, yeah. Monroe, you're getting you've had that hail moving through. Still that dynamic signature between the reds and the greens. We still have some spin there, but boy, that is a signature, as I said, when we don't even have a color to show that. It's called the DBZ, the strength of that level coming back to the radar. That's extraordinary. That is some big time hail coming down right at the moment.
It doesn't look as good here, but right here you see this.
There is one new tornado
blue
warning for
sticking out
Iowa.
here. It looks a little bit better on another radar display I'm looking at, but there's definitely some big hail in that storm as well.
Wow. It is still holding on to a severe level for sure. Tornado warning is still in effect until 10 o'clock for that area. Newton, you're getting dumped on with some heavy rain, but you'd be very thankful it's not severe weather, not yet, in your area. We have these strong storms that are still creating this area from Monroe, severe weather right around Monroe, but this little spotty area here where we have that light, very bright area and then an open space.
This is a tornado warning.
Going to be in effect at least as we go through the next, I would imagine, until 10:30 at least, 10:45. We'll see here in a second. But Kellogg, Newton, just as I mentioned, Newton, we wish that you were not in that severe level line, but you are within this tornado warning for Jasper County. 2-inch diameter hail. I'm sure they're reading it off of this right here, the National Weather Service, who puts out these warnings, that is. And from Newton to Kellogg, right along I-80, you need to be seeking shelter now. And again, from Reasoner, just to the west of Reasoner, this is going to be moving right into you. From Monroe to you, not very long distance there, and that's going to be a spot where I think we could see some redevelopment, some spin, and also some very large hail. So within these areas, your tornado sirens probably going off. We often say that's just for outside activity. Make sure that you have your 13 Warn Me app or whatever app you use to give you the information. Severe weather radios are still a thing. Keep them in your house and let you know indoors when this severe weather is going on.
Just trying to adjust that a little bit.
Yeah.
The storm speed is northeast at 30 now, so it's actually slowed down a little bit.
Slowed down.
Yeah.
So this is going to not only mean the dynamics of this tornado holding on, but also a lot of rain is going to be coming down within that line as this moves slowly now back up to the northeast, right through about 10:15 or 10:14 for Kellogg, but across that I-80 corridor, right into the teeth of this. If you're driving through that, it is going to reduce visibility to zero. We're talking like a blizzard, but with rain. So it's going to be tough to drive through, tough to do anything for the moment. Please don't go out if you don't have to. Looking at some of our storm team coverage from our newsroom, a couple of live shots where I see road closed signs, and also looks like state troopers who are out and about on some roads that have very little light. I would imagine that's where those power poles are down, and we'll be hopefully getting to that here as we get closer to the top of our 10 o'clock hour at WHO 13. We have been simulcasting on Fox 17. We'll do that right up till the top of the hour as well. And even on WHO radio, I heard from a couple of folks here that they've been listening tonight, so WHO radio taking our simulcast. I do see Roger Riley out taking in some of the views of where roads are closed tonight. So we're going to have that come your way in just a little bit. Still a tornado warning. We stay on the air as long as we need to make sure that these folks stay safe until this warning has been canceled or it looks like that system has fallen apart. We want to make sure that you stay very safe, though, and that's still Hey, boy, Jason, that's some good rotation right there.
Yeah,
Not in a good way.
It really has improved. And, as I
Yeah.
said earlier when we were talking about convergence, and I said, it doesn't mean anything because it could tighten up again, and there it went.
It's just amazing. I mean, and we're talking as meteorologists who've been around for a while, Jerry and Jason and I, and this is really amazing. This keeps going, and we still see these tornadoes popping up within the system where normally, we get into an atmosphere with these big storms. It usually takes it out, if for lack of a better word, of these storm systems. We just don't see rebuilding of tornadoes like this. Tonight, this has been an unusual evening for sure, and I'm sorry we've had to interrupt all of your programming tonight. I know that you don't like that. Again, for the Wheel of Fortune fans, that's going to be on at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can watch that. But this is a big area of hail that's coming around this side of Reasoner. 1016 is the timeline for Kellogg up at the very end of that. But of course, a lot of farming communities there, south and east of Newton.
Bunch of hail fell out west of Reasoner there.
I was showing that earlier, where we didn't even have a color to show for the DBZ that's coming out of that. So that's, again, the strength of the radar coming back at us. But
It's going to be some insurance agents busy west of Reasoner in many areas.
I'm afraid
tomorrow.
there's going to be a lot, and
Yeah.
not just for hail. It's going to be a lot of damage here as we've gone through a devastating time in western Iowa, back into Shelby, just one of the areas that was hit so hard tonight, and then also back into Omaha and Lincoln, especially, where this whole system started earlier this evening. Those were massive tornadoes. I would say, and again, we wait for survey crews from the National Weather Service to go out and check the damage afterwards to see what kind of an EF rating they put on it. But just judging from what I saw, it has to be an EF4 in many of those locations. Hopefully that's not happening in Reasoner. It does not have that same dynamic. We can be thankful we weren't in Nebraska tonight watching those storms hit our homes. But Reasoner, seek shelter, stay there right now, stay where you are. This is that heavy hail behind this, probably going to show up just like that last hail signature that we had from Monroe. So there's going to be a hail drop for you folks, and it is now that new scan pushing it right across Reasoner and moving to the northeast as that latest radar scan came through. You folks in Kellogg, get ready, and I-80 from Newton back to I-80 right over the Speedway. You need to be, again, ready for this. It's heavy rain, lots of lightning. You don't need to be outside in this stuff tonight for sure.
Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit here so we can see if there is a tornado here, and we don't know that for sure. There's of course a warning, but if there is one, it would be just, I would say, 2 miles or 1 mile east of Reasoner here on Highway F62. And again, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So will eventually, it's going to obviously move over a lot of farmland to the east of Highway S74 south here, a lot of county roads, and then eventually would be heading up toward Kellogg. And boy, I sure hope it falls apart before it heads in that direction. It's just crazy. Yeah. And you were talking about this earlier. I thought when these storms got to Highway 169 and ran into this cold air, they would just fall apart tonight, and they didn't. And
they've strengthened afterwards.
Right, and the sun set just after 8 o'clock. It's almost 10 o'clock, and we still have a tornado warning and a storm with good rotation in it. So this is, certainly unusual in my experience.
It is. And again, just another example of we were watching these severe weather issues with the tornadoes in Nebraska and into western Iowa, but that tornado signature is still holding on here in Reasoner. We only had the tornado watch in effect until 9 o'clock for central and southwestern Iowa. Now that tornado watch has been expanded. The Storm Prediction Center put out this watch until midnight tonight, and it does include this area. So good for them to allow that to continue and to make sure that we keep people weather aware. Jasper County until 10:30 tonight with that 2-inch diameter hail. I would maybe guess just from radar signatures, it might even be bigger than that in some locations. We did see 3-inch diameter hail in southern Iowa. again, off of radar signature. But Newton to Kellogg, get ready. This is going to be right on your doorsteps here as we go through the next at least half an hour. We're coming right up on 10 o'clock until 10:30 is that particular warning. And it's now moving at around 30 miles an hour. That's what Jason mentioned earlier. You know, this thing is slowed down. So Kellogg, Oakland Acres, I've seen that pop up before. Again, Oakland Acres on our radars when we've been out doing severe weather just like this. But Highway 6 north of Newton, right along that I-80 corridor, be prepared. It's going to be a really long, it's going to feel like a long time, but some very heavy rain, hail possible, and still keeping a signature on that very tight tornado signature earlier. It is kind of closing in, kind of ringing around itself, but I'm not ruling anything out. This is another little notch here that could be forming a little bit north and east of Reasoner, where we're watching that line continue to pull in, maybe another tornado out of that same system. It is just remarkable.
The rotation in this storm has broadened out a bit, which is good news here. You can see it's probably, 4 or 5 miles wide now, if not more. And so it wasn't not as tight as it was earlier. But as we've seen tonight, you can't, let your guard down on these, because they'll now this hook is kind of being absorbed back in with the rest of the precipitation in this supercell.
This was that hook, that open space.
Yeah.
I'm watching this guy right now, but yeah, it is. It's closing in on itself, kind of just enveloping all of that open space. So that could possibly be good news. We still have that tornado warning, though, that is in place for this area of Jasper County, moving back up to the north and to the east until 10:30. This particular warning just south of there, I think, ends right at the top of the hour. But you can see red to green. Whenever you see that, there is some inflow and outflow that's close to one another. When it closes off like that, it kind of looks like a gate. Well, the gate-to-gate shear that we talk about, I've used that term before. That means the inflow and the outflow is right along that line. So that's where we're finding still a pretty good rotation, pretty decent rotation, I should say.
Still there.
Yeah, it's still there, but a lot flowing around that thing with that hail falling out of it. It's usually where we see these storms fall apart. But they have just held together tonight. It's been a crazy ride for so many people across our state.
This is a tornado warning.
Starts to look like a corkscrew.
Ed, that
means
tornado
it's
warning's
rolling
done,
in.
by the way. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's
It's
good news.
done, and I'm starting to see that we are experiencing some gusts with that stronger system just to the west at this point. Some 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts being reported.
Right in front of us, guys. Holy. Violent tornado, guys. Violent tornado.
Welcome into Fox Weather at Night, everybody. I'm meteorologist Haley Meyer. This is just one video of many as we've been watching a major tornado outbreak unfold across the Great Plains. This video is just incredible to see, but just so dangerous when you think about the debris being lofted, the just intensity of that tornado. We still aren't sure what rating this tornado is, whether it's an EF1 to EF5. All of that is left to be deciphered. National Weather Service still has to go out and review these storms. But here's another vantage point of a tornado as well, near Lincoln, Nebraska. This was from Clint Hendricks. It doesn't even look real. It looks like a scene from the new movie Twister. My family was sending me video. They're from Omaha, Nebraska. I was born there, lived there for quite some time, and just to see my family taking videos like this was scary. It's been a very scary stretch of a Friday afternoon, and this is what tornadoes can lead to. This is the damage over in Elkhorn, Nebraska. Again, still unclear as to the level of this tornado, whether it be EF1 to EF5, but certainly the damage was extensive. And via the radar, the wind speeds were very violent. The National Weather Service offices scattered across the Corn Belt as well as the Storm Prediction Center preceding the severe weather outbreak that they were expecting to happen and that is unfolding, they said violent, intense tornadoes were possible, and that has unfortunately come true. The forecast really was a boom today on Friday, and unfortunately Saturday looks even a little more robust. In total, over the last 12 hours or so, we've seen 56 tornado reports. A cluster down in Dallas, a cluster in Wichita moving towards Missouri, and a cluster near Omaha, Nebraska, and Iowa as well. In addition, we've been tracking hail and some pretty gusty winds. We'll break down just a few of the severe weather reports over in Waverly. This is where that tornado in Lincoln, Nebraska that we were showing you, that just violent looking, intense tornado. A building collapse, a house was damaged. We even saw a roof at one point being lifted into the air and just blown around for 20, 30 seconds. I mean, think about just how much energy and lift there has to be in order to sustain a roof in the air. And then all of those tornado reports as well, just flooding into Omaha, Nebraska as well. For Omaha, recent EF3 tornadoes, well, it's been a long time. May 17th, 2019 was the last time they had an EF3 tornado. And then there was a severe weather outbreak from June 16th to 17th with three EF4s rather. That's pretty significant. It was the same supercell that produced 4 separate EF4s. Could we potentially be comparing today's event to this? It's all possible. We've seen a lot of power outages happen as well. There were also a few tornado emergencies, which is reserved for the severe threat to human life is imminent or ongoing. This will be a continuing story for the rest of the weekend with our extended coverage. After today, all eyes are on Saturday's storm system. A potentially significant severe weather event is expected to unfold across a large part of the central U.S. Meteorologist Vanessa Pierce with the Wichita, Kansas National Weather Service office joined Weather Command with a weekend outlook.
I think it's still in that messy mode. That's kind of what we're looking at and what we're kind of considering for it. And that's what it's been looking like even for the last couple of days, that we could have discrete storms that would be a little bit stronger and are going to have those higher threats that we've kind of talked about. But then if you get that additional development, which is what is anticipated, so several storms that have developed, then that's going to decrease that severity and that intensity that's expected. And kind of watching too to see how things happen, where the storms develop out of northwest of out Oklahoma and Texas, and track into the area, and then how that'll evolve through the day. But we could just get a bunch of storms that develop, and so that severity isn't going to be as high as it could be if it was more discrete in nature. And that's what we're kind of looking at and trying to determine what it's going to be. As you mentioned, there are different scenarios and which one is going to pan out for us.
There's a lot of different scenarios that could take place here. Vanessa, your office also using particularly strong language and messaging for this multi-day threat. I'm looking at the forecast discussion just saying that supercells that develop have the potential to produce very large hail, baseball-sized or larger, some of the messaging that we're seeing here. Walk us through how you and your team are going to be informing the public and why it's so important for folks in Wichita and the surrounding areas to take this one especially seriously through the weekend.
I think, there's the afternoon, this afternoon, looking at across southeast Kansas, if we get a storm to develop, that could have a similar scenario where you could have baseball size hail and then tornadoes. Then we're looking at Saturday. Well, Saturday, there could be a greater coverage. And so just trying to get the message of that there could be, a greater coverage of, potential strong to severe storms. And if they do stay, if there's less of them, then they could have baseball size hail and tornadoes. But if there's a greater coverage of them, then it won't be as strong. So using different words and phrases to kind of try to message that. That's the challenge for us. And even just trying to communicate that to everybody. We know that there's going to be a greater coverage of storms. And so that's going to be one aspect. So if there is a greater coverage of storms, where is that severity going to be? And, if they're, again, how we'll do that is what we're figuring out using social media as best we possibly can, and through our webpage, and sending the information out to our emergency managers to help them in their planning processes as well, and getting that out.
Real quickly too, the other side of this, because it almost seems like you need a diagram. If this happens, then this happens, and if this happens, then we go off in this way. It can be a lot for everybody, but the key takeaway is, yes, we have some dangerous weather potentially on the horizon. And then I also don't want to undershadow the fact that we could see some pretty dangerous flooding, especially as we get in through Saturday for portions of Kansas. Any areas of concern that you have on your radar at this point?
Definitely. I mean, with any sort of thunderstorms, you can always get those higher rainfall amounts. While we have been dry across much of the area, when you have even those storms going over areas that have been drier, it's going to take a little bit longer for it to go in, to soak up. So you could have some initial flooding. But then when you have multiple rounds of storms moving over the area, so producing a lot of rainfall, then we can get those flooding threats. Our main concern right now that we're kind of looking at is kind of southeast Kansas, where they have had higher rainfall amounts. So that eastern Kansas area, you already are seeing some flood warnings that have been put out to the east of us. And then even to the north of us yesterday, and even into today. So that's where we're going to be most focused for the flooding threat. But people shouldn't underestimate the fact that just because we had been dry previously, we've gotten this rain now, and there's been a good amount of that's occurred. And so there could be flooding, especially as we move into Saturday, when we have more coverage of storms and several rounds of kind of those storms moving through the area, producing large amounts of rainfall.
So multiple weather hazards on the table for us, and still a few question marks at play as well. But regardless, we know that this is going to be a very powerful and potentially dangerous storm system for millions of folks, especially in Kansas. So Vanessa Pierce with the Wichita National Weather Service office, thank you so much for being with us this morning on Weather Command and for sharing your excellent insight.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to make sure everybody has a plan. They know what they're going to do, especially since it's the weekend. So make sure they know where they're going to go. They're might not be at home. So where are you going to go if you're out today and Saturday specifically, and making sure you know where you're going to shelter if you need to, and have multiple ways to get those warnings.
Well, you just heard from the National Weather Service out of Wichita, Kansas. We have to continue to break down the threat going into Saturday and Sunday, but we're going to show you what transpired on Friday to show you what the ceiling of these storms could be. It's quite high, the threshold of the tornado potential going into Saturday. We have flooding that we have to contend with, fire weather, hail, wind, everything Mother Nature is really throwing at us this week. We're looking at a level 3 out of 5 moving forward into Saturday, and unfortunately it is for areas that have been hit quite bad today. So Omaha, an area really included under this level 3 out of 5. Des Moines, Iowa included under that 3 out of 5, but that will also stretch into Dallas, Oklahoma City, Wichita, and near Kansas City, over to Springfield, St. Louis, a lot of major metros, millions of people going to see that threat for severe weather. I know it's graduation season. I know we have college baseball, professional baseball, a lot of stuff that goes on the weekends. This is a weekend that you want to cancel your plans. Try not to travel, try not to be on the roads, especially I-35. I-35 from Dallas north towards Wichita, we want to avoid that. I've driven that road quite some time. I lived in Austin, Texas, but my family lived in Omaha. We would always hop on I-35 and ride that for hours. That is not a kind of road trip you want to take going into Saturday. We will start to see that convection bubble up into Saturday early morning, move through Oklahoma City, but then become much more robust after the diurnal heating it taps into the afternoon. This will also fire up across that dry line, then it becomes overtaken by the cold front, and that's why we have more of this linear system here as opposed to the discrete supercells. Since it is a little more linear in nature, that will
from tornadohq.com.
some of the tornado threat. However, it becomes a little more discrete once again as we get into Sunday early morning, as we have yet another threat for severe weather. Saturday, any area that does see a little extra clearing in the afternoon will be an area of extra concern, but the wind shear is definitely in place for the central and southern plains. We'll have extended coverage into the weekend to keep you informed. And we're showing you just
because this is bad.
some of the tornado video that we've seen from today. Doesn't even look real. Unfortunately, this is what we've seen, and it wasn't just one video like this, numerous coming out of the Corn Belt. So we've got a lot more to unpack for folks tuning in. Be sure to stay weather aware going into the weekend as well. It will be an ongoing threat. We'll be right back.
Again, a confirmed tornado on the ground in downtown Conyers. This is a very dangerous and life-threatening weather event. Get into the interior section of your house, away from windows or a basement if you have. And there's the debris right there in the Millstead area near the Rockdale Medical Center. Right. Channel 1 Atlanta.
There is a storm coming, an event like the world has never seen before. The emerging event will have little to do with weather, but more about developing situations that were foreseen many years ago. We have always warned you during severe weather and news events that affected many. Now, Channel 1 Atlanta begins a new series to warn you about what's coming soon and make sure you are prepared. Join us on a new journey, as according to a recent survey, a lot of people believe we are living in the last days. Current news events show us now more than ever. In history, time is setting the stage for the coming storm, a new series, now playing only on Channel 1 Atlanta.
This is a tornado warning.
Just swirling down, multiple shelf clouds, and then finally that one vortice able to make its way all the way down to the ground, maybe even a couple of them. This has been a similar story over the course of the afternoon and evening. We've seen multiple mesovortices as they start to form into one large wedge tornado, and the damage has been extensive as well. So this will be a concern moving forward into the weekend as we have yet another day with severe weather on tap. But in addition to the severe weather, which is tornadoes, wind, and hail, we also have a flash flood threat that is of elevated concern going into Saturday. This is because these storms are taking a sort of training storm path, which that just means that the same areas are getting hit time and time again with intense rainfall. And this rain could be anywhere between 2 to 3 inches per hour. The atmosphere is set up in such a way that the system from Thursday and Friday, while that begins to move more northeast and out of the U.S., we have a new system forming basically in the exact same way. What you're seeing here is that jet stream and the dip in that jet stream, and then the low pressure system as it begins to form and get expelled farther out towards the central and northern plains there as well. But that was a severe weather threat on Friday. Here it is on Saturday, and then watch it get extended into Sunday as well. The same places. It will create storm fatigue, and we've already seen really gut-wrenching damage come out of Omaha and into portions of Iowa as well. So that will also impact any cleanup efforts that these communities have ongoing into the weekend as well. We do see that the convection will start to bubble up over the Red River as we get into early Saturday morning. So by the morning hours, we still could be talking some intense wind gusts, maybe some hail. As we get into Saturday, into the middle part of the afternoon, early evening, that's when we start to see the severity of these storms begin to amplify. Reason being is they have that low-level jet that will start to intensify as the sun goes down, but also more diurnal heating from the day. Any area in your neighborhood or in your general state that starts to see that clearing, a little bit sunny to start off the day, those are areas where you have a little extra energy into the atmosphere. The sun is only adding to the severe weather characteristics or the energy that these storms could capitalize on going into the evening. We will still track out some supercells that could potentially form into the Corn Belt as well, an area that has just seen its fair share of weather already, enough for an entire month, and yet it is only just day one. The rain will continue as we get into Monday as well, but the severe weather does start to dial back a little bit, giving some locations a chance to finally take a breather. Here's that flash flood threat for you. We're looking at a level 3 out of 4, so a very likely threat for that flash flooding. This will extend from the Dallas-Fort Worth metro and just to the north of that, primarily across I-35 towards Oklahoma City and to Springfield as well. I-35 and I-40 as well as I-44 are all going to be interstates you want to avoid. No long road trips this weekend, and if you do have any flight plans in and out of the central tier of the United States, maybe check in and on the forecast and see if your flights are still in progress. And all week long, our very own Robert Ray has traveled across the mighty 5 parks of Utah in celebration of National Park Week. And with today being the final day of his adventure, Robert is exploring the vibrant landscapes of Zion National Park. Check it out.
Welcome to Zion National Park, here on my final stop of Utah's mighty 5. Look at this vista here. There are over 100 miles of hiking trails that vary from difficult to simple as I stand here out of breath as I've been hiking in this high altitude. The vistas, the rocks, and the river that runs through this valley, an amazing place. Come on the journey.
Surrounded by steep mountains, the drive into Zion National Park is like nowhere else. Home to some of the tallest sandstone cliffs in the world, reaching up to 3,000 feet in height. The Virgin River flows through the park, carving out the stunning Zion Canyon over millions of years.
In Zion, it's these white cliffs that are so magnificently on display. The Navajo sandstone is thousands of feet thick.
out of Fredonia, Kansas from Friday from our field correspondent. You can see that funnel forming in the storm and slowly making its way from the storm cloud towards the ground. This is one of many funnel cloud reports. We had a ton of tornado reports too on Friday coming out of eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. And now that low pressure system is finally starting to depart. It will end up giving us a few severe storms across the plains, possibly through the remainder of the overnight. But unfortunately, we're not done with severe weather just yet because this big system back to the west is slowly making its way into the Four Corners, and that's going to bring us a renewed chance for severe storms in many of these same locations for both Saturday and Sunday. So focusing in a little more specifically on Saturday, we have the chance for severe storms from Sault Ste. Marie in Michigan all the way back through Del Rio in Texas. So it's pretty much the entire north to south extent of the country. But where you see this darker yellow area across Omaha, Des Moines, Kansas City, through central Kansas, Oklahoma, and northern Texas, that's going to be where we have the best environment to produce those strongest severe storms, those capable of damaging winds of 70 miles an hour or greater, of 2-inch or larger hail, or some tornadoes, some of which could be strong, similar to what happened on Friday. Here's a closer look at that from Des Moines down through Wichita Falls, through Tulsa. This is going to be our core area Saturday afternoon and evening to have that chance for strong storms and even severe storms. Some of those could be even considered strong severe storms. We have regular severe storms, then we have anything that's above, especially an EF2 and tornado strength 4. That's what we usually consider more of a strong tornado. So that will be possible given this environment for the day Saturday. Once again, a lot of these areas for Friday ended up with severe storms. So if you did get affected by our Friday storms, you lost power or something, just make sure that you have multiple ways to check the weather heading through Saturday because these storms may end up impacting you once again. Wind and hail through this area, probably our biggest overall concern, but we can't completely discount that strong tornado potential just because the environment is highly sheared. There's a lot of rotation there, and that could spell trouble with tornadoes. Early Saturday morning, there could be a few showers and storms, but I think the biggest main event in terms of our storms is going to be between 2 and 4 p.m. along I-35. That's where we'll see for a lot of these spots the possibility of any type of severe weather hazard, including tornadoes, going through 7 or 8 p.m. These will slowly move to the east. And as we get into the evening and overnight, this kind of morphs into a big line of storms with wind and hail as our main concern. But this is not a totally straight line. So anywhere we have any bends in those lines, there will be opportunities for spin-up tornadoes too. All of this will make its way slowly to the east come Sunday morning, but still, especially for Arkansas, Oklahoma, and into eastern Texas Sunday morning, those storms could be pretty feisty. And for the rest of the area, it's going to be a lot of really, really heavy rain. And that's going to be another concern that we'll have through the weekend in general, is just some seriously heavy rain that could lead to flooding. Again, for Oklahoma City, zooming things in here, 4 to probably 8 or 9 p.m. is where we'll have our individual severe weather threat in terms of those isolated storms. Tornadoes will be most likely then everything kind of devolves into a big line of storms, continuing to produce that really heavy rain through the day and into the nighttime hours as well. Now we'll take you out to Kansas City, Missouri to focus in on our Sunday threat.
Oh yeah, we're going to take a look there at the city of Kansas City, and it's been relatively quiet overall when it comes to any of the active weather conditions from Friday night, but we are going to be watching the potential for an active weekend there in the Kansas City area. We're going to jump ahead to Sunday, and what we've got here is our forecast for moisture. So you can see the dry colors, that's where we're getting into the orange and the tan color, that's low humidity, low dew point temperatures. And then we've got the green, that is the moisture, and we've thrown the wind barbs here. So that's that southerly flow that's going to be building out ahead of the dry line and out ahead of the cold front and low pressure system. So that's going to be the focus for heavy showers and thunderstorms, flooding rain, but also severe storms capable of damaging winds, large hail, tornadoes. Just a repeat performance, unfortunately, of what we've been tracking today, what we're going to see tomorrow, as Kara alluded to, but we could also see in a lot of those same spots, similar forecast conditions for Sunday. So we've got the dew point temperatures here on the screen, and the dew point, it is a temperature. It's the temperature that the air has to cool to in order to reach 100% humidity, or we call it 100% saturation. And the higher the dew point temperature, that means the less the air has to cool in order to reach it, and that's why we are anticipating those high dew point numbers, 60s and 70s out ahead of the dry line. So that's going to set us up for that risk of severe weather from, say, Austin, Texas, all the way up to La Crosse, Wisconsin. and that's the Mississippi River Valley region as well as the Missouri River Valley region going to get involved with some of those strong and intense storms. So as we put the forecast into the future, we'll take it through Sunday. There you can see Kansas City, Springfield, down into Tulsa, Rogers and Fayetteville, Fort Smith, the Arklatex, some intense thunderstorms coming through. That'll be lasting through Sunday night. And then by late Sunday and into early Monday, there's still going to be some storms around, but it looks like those storms will start to lose their intensity. We also want you to be smart when it comes to weather and social media. Here's more. We all have it. Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. Social media can be a great tool for finding weather forecasts and reports, but it's up to you to use it wisely. Here are 3 tips for severe weather season to use your social media to your advantage. 1. Check the timing of the post. The most recent information isn't always at the top of your feed. Forecast updates and alerts come quickly during severe weather season especially, so it's important to get the most up-to-date information. 2. Follow trustworthy weather sources. Here at Weather Nation, we will only share comprehensive forecasts and verified content. By following reliable sources, you can cut down on the hype and get straight to the information that you need. 3. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. It's easy for people to use old pictures and videos and pass them off as current conditions. During severe weather events, lots of content can be shared quickly, but if it seems off or unrealistic, it probably is. Social media isn't just for liking posts, it's also for sharing your own storm damage. Be sure to tag your local National Weather Service office and Weather Nation. Just remember to wait until the storm has passed to post your viral videos. For weather.
It's not disorderly for the police to wallop somebody, but it is for this woman to stand there.
New tonight, after another day of protests,
there is one new severe thunderstorm warning for Arkansas and Louisiana.
Leadership's response.
And a man shot and killed.
Is my baby okay? Please tell me. I'll tell you in a minute.
And his girlfriend says a toddler did it.
I'm serious. I'm angry. I'm upset.
What his parents believe really happened. All new on WSB Tonight. Thanks for staying up with us tonight. I'm George Estevez.
Hello, I'm Wendy Corona. So let's get right to that breaking news. A SWAT standoff is over after police and a bomb squad spent hours at a DeKalb County apartment complex. Channel 2's Elizabeth Rollins is live on the scene. And Elizabeth, you and your photographer got the moment police arrested that suspect.
Yeah, and in the last 30 minutes, investigators have cleared the scene. DeKalb County Police and the squad unit were here for several hours. Take a look at what's left. We've got this yellow police tape here that had this portion of the complex. We're at the Rosemont apartment complex in Chamblee. They had this area blocked off for several hours, focusing on apartment building H for what they described to be a domestic situation. Of course, it's still unclear what led up to this SWAT standoff situation, the circumstances surrounding it. But as far as we know, and again, our cameras were rolling when what we believe to be the suspect who was being taken into custody earlier tonight, everything seemed to have ended very peacefully, very calmly. No one seemed to be injured. But of course, residents were pretty rattled. Take a listen.
We've never seen anything like this. I've been here for almost 3 years, and I've never seen this type of activity as far as like police activity going on over here.
And again, this is still very much a developing story, still working to get all the details about what led up to this standoff and the circumstances surrounding it. We'll be sure to bring that to you as soon as we get that information. We're live in DeKalb County tonight. Elizabeth Rollins, WSB Tonight.
So many people just thankful for a peaceful ending right there. Elizabeth, thank you.
Here's what's new, happening now and next. New tonight, Clayton County Police say a missing persons case is now a homicide investigation. Brianna Winston was last seen at her home at the Gardenwood Apartments where she lived with her boyfriend, Michael Edwards. Her family noticed her apartment cleaned out and she hadn't been to work, so they reported her missing. Well, now Clayton police say her boyfriend and if you have any information, contact Clayton.
Someone found a possible explosive nearby. Deputies say a magnet fisherman pulled up the explosive this afternoon off Jim Star Road, just about 5 miles west of Palmetto. The GBI investigated the scene today. That road is back open.
And next, day 3 of the NFL draft is tomorrow, and the Falcons will go into that with a beefed up defensive line. The Falcons took Rook Kokoko and Braylon Trice tonight. Meanwhile, 4 more Bulldogs found their NFL homes. Ladd McConkey, Ari Lassiter, and Javon Bullard were all second-round picks, and Tyke Smith went in third.
Another big moment at tonight's draft. The NFL honored an Emory student and a Morehouse student. Both are working to combat racism and anti-Semitism across the country.
And that comes as protests on Emory's campus get national attention. We've learned tonight professors are planning a vote of no confidence against the school's president after those protests led to arrests today.
Students are always the conscience of our times, and when there's an issue, they take to the quads.
Friday, we saw another scene on Emory's campus. Hundreds of students for a new protest as others waited outside the jail for their classmates to be released.
Those protesters are released from jail.
We showed you live on Channel 2 Action News at 5 as one of those students walked out of the DeKalb County Jail and hugged a friend there to support him. Late Friday, we heard from one of those arrested students who said he was just there to show support, and now he's facing criminal charges.
None of us were violent. None of us were, doing anything other than sitting and talking and, chanting.
Jewish students say that isn't true, and they're afraid to be on their own campus.
Like, as a Jewish student, I shouldn't feel unsafe to walk across the quad.
Meanwhile, we have new reaction from the chair of Emory's philosophy department. Video showed police arresting her during the protest Thursday.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
She says she was there to record and make sure students were okay as she stepped in when she saw officers beating a student on the ground.
One of the cops stands up and gets in front of me, like 4 feet, and said, "Ma'am, you need to step back. You need to step back." And I'm looking, you're pummeling this child. So I said, no.
Yikes.
Quite the scene on campus there. Emory's president addressed the protests and blamed non-student protesters for the violence. He said in part, quote, "I am horrified that members of our community had to experience and witness such interactions. The fact that members of our community were arrested upsets me even more and is something that I take very seriously."
Happening now in the last 2 hours, 2 major road closures started, and they will impact drivers all across Metro Atlanta for months. Here's where they are, starting with a live look now from North Druid Hills Road. They're doing a lot of work there. Stretch near I-85. It's closed to traffic for the next 3 months. The detour is 5 miles long. That started tonight at 9. And we used our exclusive mapping technology to give you a sense of where this closure is. It's this very busy intersection right off of Buford Highway. And now let's give you a live look at an area of Sandy Springs where drivers are constantly dealing with road changes and traffic jams. So they tell us what's one more.
People are used to.
There is one new tornado warning for Arkansas and Louisiana.
Construction for, 6 or 7 years now.
A long time. Back out live now to the North Druid Hills closure. We're going to stay on this throughout the weekend, but our first real test of the tie-ups will be with the Monday morning commute. Triple Team Traffic will be here to guide you through all of the alternate routes on Channel 2 Action News this morning, starting at 4:30 a.m.
A driver somehow managed to survive a road rage shooting that left his car covered in bullets. You can see a bullet hole in the windshield, and you could also see 5 more bullet holes in the car. Even Norcross police officers couldn't believe how many bullets were fired into that Ford Mustang. The victim said he was on his way to work on April 11th when someone cut him off near Peachtree Industrial Boulevard and Holcomb Bridge Road in Gwinnett County. When he pulled up next to the driver that had cut him off to look at him, he says the shooting started and he was hit in the leg.
Past Crown Plaza, boom, 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 boom.
Police arrested 26-year-old Lissandro Pacheco. He's still in jail tonight without bond.
New tonight, a family is calling for a murder case to be reopened after prosecutors say they could not charge anyone. The only people there when someone shot Brandon Veal, his girlfriend, and her 3-year-old son. Channel 2's Michael Dowden is live in DeKalb County. And Michael, police originally arrested the girlfriend for his murder, but the DA says that they don't think they can prove the case.
Yeah, it's a strange case from the standpoint that no one denies that Brandon Veal was shot and killed that day. But the DA says because only the girlfriend and her son were in the car, they don't have enough to move forward. But the family says when you account for other evidence, like the coroner's report, there's enough to move forward and to try and get justice.
He's that loving person. This picture says it all.
family remembers Brandon Veal for his smile, his hugs, his personality.
I miss my son so much. All these memories. He's just a memory now.
But on August 6, 2022, Brandon took his girlfriend and her 3-year-old son to see friends at this DeKalb home. Witnesses say he was in the car when they described hearing a pop.
Got to see him. Is my baby okay? Please tell me. There was so many police cars.
According to the initial police report, the girlfriend said it was her 3-year-old son who pulled the trigger while sitting in Brandon's lap. But later, the report said that the bullet entered from his right temple.
A part of me just like it just floated away. Like I was just gone.
Police originally booked the girlfriend for murder, but the DA now says they will not pursue charges, saying in part, quote, despite our best efforts, no witnesses or evidence were found in order to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard required by law.
If the dots don't connect all the way through, you're going to get an acquittal.
We asked attorney Jessica Sino to take a look at what makes this case so challenging.
Cases like this where you have one witness and that one witness would also be your defendant are virtually impossible.
I'm furious. I'm angry. I'm upset. And I want justice for my son. I want justice.
Now, we also asked the DA for more information, like ballistic information, or if there was any fingerprints on the guns of if it was the girlfriend or if it was her son, but we received no response. We're live in DeKalb. Michael Doudna, WSB Tonight.
You can definitely understand that family's pain. Michael, thank you.
New tonight, an Atlanta hedge fund manager who runs the Cheetah Fund is now facing charges for cheating his investors. The feds say a grand jury indicted Craig Allen on federal charges. They say he took millions of dollars from investors, then faked documents to hide it. No word on when his trial is going to start.
Police seized nearly 60 pounds of hallucinogenic mushrooms from a Clayton County home. Police say neighbors complained of suspicious activity around a rental house. That's when they say they seized several illegal drugs, including the stash of magic mushrooms. They arrested 4 people who now face felony drug charges.
Chance of wet weather. I'll take you through that timeline hour by hour and, of course, day by day.
Letter at her church and got sick. Police say she's not the only one in her neighborhood to get that poison. Plus,
Jerry, drop the gun!
Video shows an armed suspect inside a Waffle House. Why that suspect told police he needed an AR-15 with him.
Closed captioning sponsored by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Georgia could be holding cash that belongs to you.
$2.8 billion that we haven't paid out.
But you can only claim it on this website.
I ended up getting back about $1,100.
The secret to collecting cash the state may owe you. Monday at 5 on Channel 2 Action News.
Hey, I'm Zach Klein. On the next Hot Topics, officers rescue pets from a dog hotel overcome with smoke, and a couple has a whirlwind wedding after a tornado crushes their wedding venue. It's Hot Topics tomorrow after WSB Tonight.
They say you can't have it easy, fast, and good. At Crystal, we say you can have it all. Get 2 delicious Crystals, a small fry, and a small drink for only $4.99. Easy, fast, and oh so good. Only at Crystal for a limited time.
Like a bunch of groceries, all this cheese and greens just come to me.
Freedom you can't take your eyes off. The new 2024 Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator. Jeep, there's only one.
Right now during the Jeep Celebration event, get up to 15% below MSRP on most 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L, and Gladiator models. Hurry, don't miss this great offer.
Break up with your old wings and lemon pepper wing from Popeyes. Crispy, saucy, available. Popeyes finally has wings in 6 flavors.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Today was amazing. Today was amazing.
Today was amazing.
But my favorite part was being with you.
Business. It's not a 9-to-5 proposition. It's all day and into the night. It's all the things that keep this world turning. The go-tos that keep us going. The places we cheer and check in. They all choose the advanced network solutions and round-the-clock partnership from Comcast Business.
See why Comcast Business powers more small businesses than anyone else. Get started for $49 a month, plus ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card. Don't wait. Call today.
Wrong turn? No sweat. With best-in-class fuel economy and 5 drive modes, virtually no road is out of bounds.
Drive the new 2024 Nissan Rogue. Now get a low $339 per month lease or get 2.9% APR financing for 36 months on the 2024 Nissan Rogue.
People! Chill, people, chill. Look. We all get it. I'm hungry, you hungry. Crystal open late night. Love each other. Let's all dance with each other. Let's all celebrate that Crystal is open late night.
Tonight, we are seeing the moments police confronted an armed man in a Gwinnett County Waffle House.
Move away from the gun. Lay down on the ground.
As Channel 2's Gwinnett County Bureau Chief Matt Johnson reports tonight, the worker said he pointed an AR-15 at them.
A body camera video shows a Gwinnett County police officer draw his gun, waiting for an armed man to leave a Waffle House.
Sir, drop the gun!
Someone had just reported with an AR-15 at 2 Waffle Houses after threatening a worker.
413-1 at gunpoint. Move away from the gun!
Officers moved in to make sure he stayed on the ground.
We'll find out what's going on.
It turns out Gwinnett County police say the 32-year-old suspect walked into 2 different locations the same morning. It forced people to take cover and for one witness to hide in a bathroom. Happened last Tuesday in the morning at the Waffle House on Buford Drive near I-85. Police say Ruth found an employee outside, pointed the rifle at her, and asked.
This is a tornado warning.
For one of them showing the corridor of heaviest rain from Kansas City, Tulsa back through Wichita Falls. And there's that 3 to 5 inches of rain, but it's kind of on the lower end. Another model that we run here on Weather Nation has some higher rain totals into eastern Oklahoma and into southeast Kansas and also up into western Illinois. Those are those areas in gray where we could see more than 6 to 8 inches of rain. Hopefully that's a bit of an overestimation, but there could still be some serious rain coming into these areas, indicating that that flood threat is definitely something to watch through the remainder of the weekend. Overnight flooding is most likely across Arkansas into eastern Missouri and eastern Texas, but Saturday, there's that moderate risk again. This is going to be the core flooding potential that we have of the next several days. Sunday, though, we see more of that flood threat across Missouri, Arkansas, and eastern Texas, and even continues Monday into Tuesday, meaning that we're still going to be dealing with all of these impacts from the system the next couple of days. The good news is while we don't need 6 inches of rain, a lot of these areas are at least in some kind of drought, so getting the rain is definitely a beneficial thing. Back to the west, though, with this upper low, there's actually some cold air in place, and instead of talking severe weather, we're talking snow.
Yeah, let's change topics and focus on some of the solid precipitation, and that is the snow chances. We got to check there. Breckenridge, Colorado, that was from Friday. Weren't seeing much when it comes to the snow when we were looking at
down to the ground. This is one of many just gut-wrenching scenes. Makes the hair on your arm stick up over the course of Friday afternoon. And the unfortunate piece is that's only the beginning. We have Saturday and Sunday to contend with that also will bring severe weather and could bring more video like this. The damage from these violent tornadoes has been extensive. We're still getting more information into the Fox Forecast Center as to the injury reports, damage reports, and certainly that'll come better into focus as we head later on into the weekend and the weather pattern starts to calm down. But we do have extended coverage here at Fox Weather going into the weekend as well. I will be here on Sunday afternoon and evening, helping to either recap the storms or keep the live coverage going. In addition to the severe weather threat, we have to talk about the flash flood threat as well, especially going into Saturday. These storms have produced rain rates of 2 to 3 inches or greater per hour, and with the same areas being hit time and time again, with the Friday threat coinciding with the Saturday threat. And then once again on to Sunday. It's the same areas that will get just dumped buckets of rain. And that can overwhelm dry soil, oversaturated soil, it doesn't matter. 2 to 3 inches of rain coming down for an extended period of time with total accumulations of 5 inches or greater will be a problem. We could see localized flash flooding that will potentially even trickle into next work week as being a problem for some communities. We'll track things further for the exclusive Fox model heading into Saturday. In the morning hours, we start to see that first little cell begin to bubble up across the Red River, moving towards Oklahoma City. It really is Oklahoma City that will start to have this northeasterly movement of these storms and see that training storm effect. Because look what happens. By Saturday, 7 p.m., that little cluster, well, it's turned into a larger linear system as these storms start to fire up across the dry line, and that cold front just going to be bringing rain, and more rain. The reason why Oklahoma City is kind of targeted here, we have a dip in the jet stream, and this jet stream is what's dragging this low pressure system to the northeast. If this was a low pressure that was moving west to east, it would leave areas behind. We wouldn't see the same areas getting hit again and again. But it's because this low is being moved towards the northeast. It's dragging that cold front across the same exact areas. For Sunday into the early morning hours, we are still going to be talking thunderstorm activity and that threat for severe weather. The severe weather threat, though, will shift a little bit farther towards the east and impact the heartland and even into areas of Wisconsin. Chicago could potentially see some severe storms, whether that be tornadoes, wind, or hail. It's all within the threshold of these storms. Saturday truly, though, is looking to be the worst of the weather, so I know it's the weekend. Cancel those plans. If today doesn't tell you that that is a good idea, I don't know what else will. When we talk tornado threat, we also add that flash flood threat, mixed messaging. What do? I have a tornado warning that tells me lowest part of my home, but I have a flash flood warning and I see active floodwaters in my home, and that means go to the highest level. You have to use your best judgment.